All right, so the thing I didn't mention about this property, so I've spoke with the woman who's the owner of it a couple weeks ago and took a look at the property, just took a glance. Um, what had happened was her mom had recently passed a little while back, and she lives in another city far from here, and she pretty much took a majority of her savings and to be able to pay off anybody else that's a family member on the property, and she wanted to keep it. And her end goal here is actually to go ahead and get it fixed up, and eventually when she retires is to move back here and live here for the rest of her years out. So I don't want to give any names or anything, and I think that's probably about as good info as should be given out. So I thought this would be a good one. It's a decent sized job to be able to get in here and just get it fixed up for her, and knowing that she's not even here and able to get out here that often and has no control of the situation of the yard at the moment. So I thought this would be nice, a good start to get this one cleaned up for her and get her going in the right steps forward on getting the house repaired and fixed up so she can eventually live in. Okay, well, you guys enjoy the video. Thank you. So right here, what we're gonna do, I like to, when we first get to a job, is to just go ahead and walk it and take a look and see what we're getting ourselves into on figuring out our next step on tackling it. So let's go ahead and take a look here. We got some overgrowth with tree, which I will take care of here a little bit later. And then we have a giant arborvitae, which is, let me get this camera here. Can definitely see it has not been touched. And we got lots of debris action going on down here, accumulation that has happened through the years. And what do we got over here? Oh, not too bad on this side of the house. Definitely look at this giant arborvitae. We got to definitely do something about that and clean up this tree. We'll go ahead and start making our way around. So front yard is pretty basic, not a lot of action going on here, but we'll get her cleaned up. We got this massive blue spruce here. Maybe clean up a few of these limbs down low. And we got another giant arborvitae over here that hasn't been touched. So I'll be cleaning that up here at some point. And we'll start making our way to the backyard. All right, as I make my way back here. All right, access. So one thing that's real important is with access is you want to have it. So worst case scenario, this is probably worst case scenario. We got a narrow little spot here for bringing debris from the backyard and loading it up into the dump trailer. So what I like to do is work far to close if possible and just try to tackle the worst of it first and then make our way to the easier stuff. So we got a lot of overgrowth going on here. We got rose bush, we got some other thorny bushes going on over here. Definitely the camera doesn't do justice, but there is definitely a lot of debris, and there is a tree down here. Looks to believe, I think she has said it had got struck once by lightning, and then we had a windstorm a while back, and I think it finally finished and took it down. So there is a massive tree there. Let's see if I can zoom in. Okay, so this tree, we got lots of debris. And this is looking at it from the backyard. There's a giant arborvitae right there. And I actually came out here just a couple of weeks ago and took a look at this yard. The lady that owns this actually does not live here. She's in another city far from here. And this arborvitae here, this is going to be one that we will not be able to touch it has grown in with the power line and stretched out the power line. It's pretty much maxed out. So one thing I do not do is touch anything around power lines. So we're going to be leaving this guy alone. Might clean up a little bit on the bottom. It would have been nice to be able to have that cleaned up, but it is what it is. We got some bushes here for some cleanup. Got a tree here. Do a little bit of cleanup on it. It's not too bad. And we got some more mess going on back here. Got a tree back there. Probably be doing a little bit of cleanup on that. And then there is a pool here, so I'll go ahead and go around. I'll get all this debris and everything cleaned up that's in the rock. Get everything nice and clean there. And then there are these two, I believe there's two another types of arborvitaes right here, and they're pretty massive. They take up a whole section of the garage on the backside. I'll figure out what I'm going to do with that as I get to it. Most likely it's going to be one heck of a job, but I'm probably just going to be removing them. It's hard to kind of tell size. Yeah, I don't have the angle. I'd have to set up the camera, be able to do that here after a bit. But it looks like be taking those guys possibly out. What else do we got going on here? We got a little bit more back there in the back. And we'll go ahead and come around back this way. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'll get back to the front. And now that I kind of got a game plan of how to start tackling this, it all comes down to just doing things in steps. So pretty much first step is going to be backing up dump trailer, closest point possible to the gate here. And I will set up camera and you guys will start seeing things happen in action. I'll start going through these steps and we'll get this yard all cleaned up. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up the chainsaw. All right, definitely got to have some music. Got to be able to listen to music. That's makes everything go a little bit quicker and can get in the zone. So apologize ahead if I get into a good song and I start dancing. I tend to do that every once in a while. My clients usually let me know. Okay, here we go. I think another little tip is when you're loading up everything into your trailer or dump trailer, try to have the butt ends facing you at the end so things don't get all snagged in there and caught up. And even with the dump trailer, sometimes if you got it all intertwined, it doesn't want to come out. So if you can, stack it in so the butt's facing you. And worst comes to worst, you can hand pull, especially if you don't have a dump trailer and you just have a regular trailer. That's the best way, so you can just hand pull and you can get everything out a lot smoother that way. And then people at the dump are not that mad at you waiting. Okay, get back out of here. All right, so what I'm doing here, I'm just working my way through it, cutting it, try to get what I can limbs and then cut some more. I'm actually going to be cutting up a lot of this larger stuff and stacking it up for her eventually. She said she wants to use it for some firewood. So I will find a spot when it's all done, get it all nice and stacked up for her so it can be used in the future. Okay, get back out of here. All right, so we're gonna have to do a little switcheroo up here. I bought a brand new chain for the chainsaw today and decided to skip off, and the little grooves got messed up. I need to sand them. Don't have an extra chain with me, and I usually carry extra chainsaws and I don't have those on hand. So we're just gonna do a little improvising for today. Realize this is going to be a 2-day job, so I'll go ahead, I'll do what I can. I do have an extended chainsaw. I can be able to work a little bit with that, but for now I got plenty of other stuff I can go ahead and try to tackle for now, and then I can come strong tomorrow with the chainsaw and get things done. Okay. All right. Definitely got to be careful when you got some of these piles. There are some thorns, and they are evil. They are bad. Okay, so this pile here is going to take a little bit longer just because it's loaded with thorns. It's just harder to work with. Woo. Okay, that makes a big difference when you have a big backpack blower. So pretty much all my equipment that I have is, besides the mowers, is Echo. Not sponsored by them or anything. Just really love their products. I've had them for 20 years now. Since I started up, I started buying Echo stuff when I was able to afford it when I was younger. Definitely though, the biggest bad boy blower that they have out now, the Echo, it's awesome. It's amazing. It works great. Actually, all their equipment works awesome. But just give a reference, camera doesn't do justice So 5.7, 235, 55-gallon cans. We're filling them up. Let's keep loading. All right. Whew. I think I'm out of shape. All right, that little section right there, it looks a lot better for right now. It's just bugging me. Just wanted to try to get some steps going forward here since I had an incident with the chain on the chainsaw. So I'll go ahead. I'm gonna get a sip of water real quick, and then we're gonna get right back at it in another section here, and we'll bust that out. All right, let's go ahead. We'll start working with this next little section here. I'm gonna go ahead and use my extended chainsaw. It's gonna look a little goofy, but to clean up some more of these limbs over here so I can get a full load and take it to the dump. All right, I think it's time for a quick 5-minute water break, and then we'll get back at it. right, I'm gonna get you turned a little bit. We'll clean up by the pool here and do a quick little blowing just to get things a little bit better in shape for the moment. Let's get this mess cleaned up. Where's my can? Who stole my can? All right, you guys, my load is full and I think I'll be back tomorrow. For sure have another full day here, another load or two. Definitely the tree that was down was a little tedious, just It was all intertwined, just a mess. And then there was a lot of thorn. Got that mostly cleaned up. We'll get the rest tomorrow when I show up. Other than that, that's getting cleaner. We're one step at a time, so we'll just get to the next step. All right, everybody. So it's day 2 on the job, and actually a confession to make. The last of the footage that you guys saw was me getting a full load and taking it to the dump, and we actually got hit with a lot of rain the next day, pretty much the whole day. So we skipped out yesterday, or 2 days ago, and then yesterday I gave it a day to dry out because this backyard is it's a lot of dirt, and it just would have been a muddy mess. So it's 2 days later and day 2 of it, and we'll go ahead and get the job done today. That's the plan. And right back here, I'm going to go ahead and clean up this section and all the tree that had fallen. I'll get the tree all cleaned up. She wants me to go ahead and stack up the log and everything so she can maybe use as for a fire pit down the road. But at least she's got the firewood to be able to use at some point later on. All right, let's go ahead and get some of this stacked up over there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get the backpack blower and then blow this section. And I believe this section is done, and we will move off to the next one. Gonna be using, so one cool toy tool here is this it's a extended hedge trimmer, or you can call it a telescopic hedge trimmer. So cool thing is you can be able to get arborvitaes real high up in the air, and then you can also top them, clean them up a little bit, and it is definitely, it's a nice piece of equipment to have so you can get a lot of the taller stuff. So I'll go ahead and get in here and get this going. Okay, I think that'll work. Getting that cleaned up. This is what I've been dealing with. These guys, they're nasty. They get in your hands too, and they don't feel good. All right, I'll go ahead and be careful and get this cleaned up, and then we will go ahead and move to the next location. All right, looks like it's time to get the weed whacker out and start doing a little weed whacking. I'll probably do a little blowing, a little more raking, and we'll go from there. We'll hit up the next spot after that. One step at a time. Whew. Okay, another section done and another one to go. All right, next spot here. Let's go ahead and get this cement slab area cleaned up. Probably going to take a second. There's definitely a lot of overgrowth with dirt and everything through the years. I don't know if it's ever been cleaned up or not. I'll go ahead and get everything moved out the way. Then start getting here, scraping, cleaning, do a little edging, and clean up some limbs, lower limbs on this giant arborvitae over here. Remember, this was the one that I will not be touching because it's in the power lines. I just don't touch power lines with trees or branches or anything. Play it safe. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. That's a rug, an outside mat. We'll call it a moss mat. Whew, okay, that's much better. I don't know if that's, I don't know the last time that cement was exposed. So I'll go ahead and put the table and the chairs back. All right, we'll go off to the next section. Okay, I think we're gonna call that a wrap for the backyard. We'll start making our way to the front yard. Whew. Okay, just like that. Got it all nice and cleaned up. Lifted off the ground. Cleaned up underneath here, quite a bit of debris. And it looks pretty good now. Now the neighbors will be able to see coming out of their driveway and not have a blind spot. We will go ahead, get situated, and go ahead and get the next step in. All right, everybody, let's go ahead. I'm going to clean up some limbs on this tree right here, and then I'm going to move on to this giant arborvitae over here that hasn't been touched. Probably going to be taken off about 12 feet, topping it. It's just never been touched ever. Okay, let's go ahead and move the camera around and show you how I like to cut things down in the back of the dump trailer when it gets a little extra loaded. Okay, just like that. That's a workout. And another thing, as you're going up and you're climbing, make sure you put your lock on your bar so you don't have an accident. Okay, let's get set back up over here, and we'll go ahead and get set up for taking topping the arborvitae over there. Well, it looks like we took about 14 to 16 feet off. do a little trimming with my hedge trimmer, just to clean it up just a little bit. And then we will move on to the other giant arborvitaes on the other side of the house. We'll top that one a little bit higher and do the same thing. All right, let's go ahead and blow this. Try to get the majority of this cleaned up, this section here, and then we'll move to the next step. Go ahead and fire up the beast. All right, we got a little bit of dirt over here. We'll pick up. Okay, this section over here looks like it's pretty much cleaned up for now. I'll go ahead and set up for our next section, next step. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna do a quick little weed whack blow, weed whack, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do a debris blow one more time just to clean up everything, and then we'll throw an edge on it, and then do one quick little blow after that for the dirt, and then I think the job will be done. All right, everybody, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. This is actually my favorite part, being done, and being able to see the before and the after of the full yard renovation. This was a 2-day, 2 full gigantic loads. Pretty much everything you can think of, from the tree work, the clean up arborvitaes, the clean old debris that's been sitting for years, clean up the tree, and a few other trees actually. Let's go ahead and get into this before and after. All right, well, before I start, go ahead, we're gonna do a nice sweep through of before and after. All right, and that will be a wrap on this job. It was a decent sized job, 2 days, 2 full loads. But I think we definitely got her back, the yard back in shape. And so whenever she gets back in town, she'd be able to maybe start maintaining it, and it'll be a little bit easier on her. I just want to say thank you guys again for taking the time out of your day and watching my channel. And if you enjoyed the renovation as much as I enjoyed doing it, please go ahead and hit that subscribe and that thumbs up, and we will have many more videos to come.